Hello everyone and welcome to my review for Kengan Omega Chapter 148. Before I get into this week's review, as always, if you haven't already, definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button and help us reach our goal for 2022 of hitting 5,000 subscribers. I want to try and hit 4,200 by the end of this month, which means we only need about 30 new subs. I think that's pretty doable. In addition to that, be sure to leave a like on the video. I'd like to try and hit 50 likes on this one. Now, with that out of the way, let's get right into this week's review. I know I am not the only one who thought that was a weird chapter. It wasn't a bad chapter. Like we've had bad chapters, and I've told you when we have bad chapters. But something about it was so strange. Like, the writing of it was just weird in such a way that kind of feels like bad writing. So we get introduced to a bunch of the Westward faction members. The focus of this chapter is on the Westward faction members, as mentioned a few chapters ago with Eddie's death. The Westward faction is going to be thrown into chaos, the moderates are going to have to make a move, all of that good stuff. And that's what we see this chapter, as we see the divide between the moderate faction, which is led by Eddie's brother Howard Wu, and the more extremist faction, which is, of course, led by Eddie's son, Gilbert Wu. Now, Gilbert is a lame name. It sounds like a Victorian child. Guess it goes to show. He also says bollocks in the chapter, so, you know, I guess Eddie turned out to be British. Very unfortunate. That's why you lost, Eddie. Because Eddie always gave off, like, a really American accent. I mean, Edward is a pretty British name, but, I mean, the guy had the vibe of every American anime character who's not white trash ever. Gilbert is a little zoomer fuck. I won't be able to take a character named Gilbert seriously. That's why we called Edward Eddie. So I could call him Gil. I'm pretty sure some people call him that, like, in the chapter. But I think I'm going to call him Liquid for reasons I'll get into soon. Now, the first weird thing about this chapter is we introduce Howard, who turns out to be the last of the Wu-Heis, and a bunch of other Westward faction members. We meet like a dozen, and they're all named. And I'm not going to bother remembering any other fucking names, because they are all dead by the end of this chapter. It's just Gil and like one other guy from the extremist faction. Everyone's fucking dead. So I don't really get what the Westward faction is a relatively new thing. We don't really have names for most of the members. We really only knew the names of, like, the leadership. So, you know, we gotta give some names to some of the other members so that it feels more fleshed out, more populated. And then we're going to immediately annihilate that entire population. Yeah, of course. Makes sense. So I'm not gonna bother remembering most of these people's names. I've already forgotten them. But I could never forget the names of my wonderful patrons. Special thanks to Archbear, CJ2K, Neo, Tyrese Simmons, Dijon Redden, Anthony Chavez, Honey Mustard, K-God, Chris Redfield, Rat, Ryzen 4K, Artist, Mac Campaign, Wave of Manga, Chuck's Feed and Seed, Jake Sterizi, Play Free Labs, Kanichi Kaneda, Strawbones, and Neverest. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it, and if you too want to get a shout out at some point during videos, or access to reviews for One Piece and The Boxer, you can always become a patron as well. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. I thought that was a pretty good transition as well. There was a good one in last week's Jujutsu review. I think I'm finally starting to get into doing these good transitions into the Patreon shoutouts. So Howard is the 5th Wu-Hei, and he gets off-screened by Gil, because of course. The curse of the bladed weapon is far stronger than ever. One of the extremist members pulls out a knife, gets instantly cut to pieces by Howard, despite having 100% Guihun, and someone in the chapter says, well, you know, removal rating's just a number. Yeah, I guess, but removal rating was always a really big deal, because you had to be like some kind of fucking freak to have 100% removal or 100% Guihun. So now just everyone has it, and now, oh, well, actually, it doesn't really matter. Great. Fantastic. I mean, it's true, because, I mean, like, Ryan can get beaten by characters who don't even have removal, or, like, any kind of power-up. So, you know, it is true, techniques over transformations and shit, that is true. But now, like, having 100% removal was something special, and now not only is it common, it's just not even important. Like, it just doesn't matter anymore. Strange. So, Howard gets off-screen by Gil. Naturally. Literally, you were a monster. Howard, you were too awesome. You're definitely in the top 5 uncles I've killed. Like, it's... Oh my god, it's like it's becoming a parody of itself at this point. I think Sandrovich, like, goes on the fucking discussion boards and shit, and looks at all the memes and stuff, looks at all the jokes about the series, and just decided in this chapter, yes, oh fuck, you were so cool and awesome, you were very strong, definitely in the top 5 relatives I've murdered. And then it's revealed that, actually, Liquid isn't really Edward's son, he's actually his clone. So I guess what happened was, Sandrovich decided to kill Eddie. And, I feel like this is me putting too much, belief in the power of Western fans complaining about shit. I don't know how much the Japanese fans are complaining about shit. But assuming this was all planned out, what happened was Eddie is set up as one of the major villains, right? And then we get to the fight, the Westward faction versus Kure Wu fight. And we find out about the 5th Wu Hei, the Shadow Man, and we're like, oh god, oh fuck. Eddie was actually a red herring for the 5th Wu Hei, just like how Jia was a red herring for Yan and Faye was a red herring for Tiger Man. But no, as it turns out, the 5th Wu Hei, Howard Wu, was actually a red herring for, get this, Eddie. Again, Eddie 2.0. It's like we went in a circle or something. So, first off, this is assuming that Liquid is literally just Eddie again. What the fuck was the point of killing him in the first place if, like, 5 chapters later you're like, oh yeah, here's another Eddie. Yeah, there you go. Don't worry about it. Seems like a very bizarre and not good writing decision, to me, at least. So, it's a possibility that he was just gonna kill off Eddie and then maybe do something with the moderates, I don't know. Or, the extremist faction was going to be a thing. And then everyone was very, very, very fucking mad about Eddie dying in his first fight. So then he was just like, here, have him again. I don't know if Sandrovich would do that. He seems to fucking love subversion, so I don't know if he would go back on a subversion, even though this is it's a subversion upon a subversion, so the 180 is turned into a 360. However, it's stated by Liquid that the Wu Heis are no more. Howard was the last of the Wu Heis. There's no other connectors. Wu Hei is super mega permanently dead now. There's no one else that possesses his mind. So that implies that Liquid was not recipient of Hui Sheng from Eddie, because Eddie was basically Wu Hei. And if Liquid had received Hui Sheng from him, then he would also be Wu Hei. So that means that, yeah, he's like a genetic copy of Eddie, but he's still his own person. Now, there will likely be various traits of his that have been carried over from Eddie because he was raised by him as his son, so naturally he would take on some traits from him, and also there's probably some things that are like, genetic things, the way his brain functions. I'm sure there are aspects of his personality that have just been inherited through being a genetic copy of him. So I'm hoping that Gil, that Liquid is going to be an interesting guy. I hope he doesn't disappoint. Hopefully he actually does some cool shit and doesn't die as soon as he does cool shit. I'm also wondering if he's going to be... I imagine he's weaker than Eddie, because he had, like, some trouble dispatching of Howard. It's very hard to scale how powerful Howard is because he got fucking killed off screen. But I am interested in seeing how that turns out. Now, the other thing we get at the end of this chapter is the reveal of some person, presumably in China, who has some guy that looks like Jiaji's concept design talking to him about how Gilbert has taken over the Westward faction and how he wants to talk to him. And we don't see this guy's face, we just see his back, but he has light-colored hair, it seems to be tied back, and the dude looks very built, very muscular. Dude's fucking shredded or something. And if Liquid wants to talk to this guy, who's in China, and has someone who looks like Jiaji talking to him, it's probably safe to assume that this person is Yan, because the Jiaji lookalike calls him the Connector. So either he's Yan, or he's someone that Yan has been using like Hui Shang on or whatever. We don't know how old they are. If they're like old, it's Yan. And I imagine their face wasn't revealed because it has been kind of implied that Oma and Ryuki are clones of Yan. At least that seems to be the most likely candidate for that. So I'm thinking that this dude's really old. This is an old fuck. And the reason we haven't revealed his face yet is because when it is revealed, we're going to be like, oh my god, it's whatever Oma will look like in, 40 years or something. So that could be potentially interesting. This is the reveal for Yan. I'm quite intrigued by what's going to be going on with him, because as Koga and Ryuki are moving into their new phases of the story, we have the villains moving into their new phase of the story as well. Hopefully, and I say this with the expectation of being disappointed again, these villains that are being set up now, or that are getting more direct setup, because Yan was mentioned a while ago, and now we seem to have maybe finally gotten like his appearance within the story, assuming it's not just Yan from the Heavenly Wolves. Could maybe be interesting. This could be an interesting new phase of the story. So hopefully things work out well. Hopefully we enjoy whatever's coming next in the story. And I'm quite interested to see what happens next chapter. So with that, that's all I've got to say for this week's review. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Kengan Omega reviews every week that we get a new chapter. If you enjoyed discussing Kengan Omega with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce in this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have a link to that down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.